Good morning, guys. I don't know if you guys can hear the storm that's raging outside, but it got me to thinking about storms. This, did y'all hear that? It got me thinking about the storms and the storms of our lives, right? I used to be afraid of storms. Ever since I was a little girl, storms would come, tornadoes would come, and I would freak out. And then a couple years ago, I feel like I met the divine literally in an actual storm. I heard God's voice. I was under deep oppression, and I had been under spiritual attack for at least a year, longer than that, honestly, but a really intense oppression and spiritual attack for a year. And then one day this storm appeared. I was in a camper at the time. The storm appeared over my camper, and the storm wasn't it was literally a rain cloud that was like literally just over my camper, and I could hear it coming down on the roof. And I heard, here it comes again. Can y'all hear it? I heard God's voice tell me, I want you to get up and get out. Get up, get out. Now I want you to get up and get out. And I was like not understanding. Why? Because I was at home, right? I thought I was safe where I was. I was at home, supposedly around, all the people that I thought loved and cared about me. I didn't know I was under spiritual attack. I didn't know I was under oppression. I didn't know what was going on. But it was heavy, and I was battling it for at least a year. It was longer than that, but every day I would transmute the energy. Every day, I was, it was like, it felt like I was wrestling with something. I'm here in wrestling with God until I got my blessing. But God's voice told me, get up, get out. And there was a rain cloud, and when I was sitting there trying to argue about like why, or I didn't know it was God at first, right? The rain got heavier and heavier, and the cloud got darker and darker. And so finally I was like freaked out. I was scared. So it was in the middle of the winter. It was like February. So finally I was like, okay. I got up and I put my shoes on, and I grabbed the truck keys, and I went out to the truck, and I was gonna, go. I didn't know where I was gonna go, but I was gonna leave the camper. I didn't know what was going on. And the truck wouldn't start. But when I grabbed the keys and I went outside, the rain cloud that was above my camper, it started moving off. Like it started moving away from the camper. God was like, okay, but the truck wouldn't start, so I turned around to go back into the camper because I was going to have to walk, so I needed a jacket. And when I turned around to go back in the camper, the rain cloud literally turned back around and came back to the camper too. Like that cloud followed me, and I heard the voice again, and it was like, no, don't go back in. I need you to leave. Leave now. Basically, I say a voice. It wasn't like an audible voice, but I could hear it. Like it was this loud thought, I guess, but it was a conversation that was telling me I was in danger, basically, that if I stayed there, something bad was going to happen. And so I needed to leave, like right then. I had to go. So I went back in, grabbed my jacket, and I didn't know what to do. So I just started walking, and it's the middle of winter time. So I get literally down to the corner of my street, and this car pulls up. And I normally don't take rides from strangers. But this car pulled up, and when the car pulled up, I heard God's voice say, get in. It was a single guy. And he was like, "Do you need a ride?" And I heard God tell me, "Get in." So I listened, I obeyed, and even though I was scared shitless, y'all, I got in. The guy said, "I can only take," so I was like, "I'm going to go to my sister's." I didn't know where else to go. The guy's like, "Well, I can only take you so far." And so I was like, "Okay, thank you." I get in his car and he starts talking to me about the Bible, right? He's just started talking to me. Just it's like I know God sent that man across my path. And when we got to the corner of the store by my sister's house, he's like, "I can't take you any further." And I was like, "Okay, well, thank you for the ride." And I was getting out of his car and I said, "Well, what was your name?" He said, "My name," he said, "they call me Tim, but my name is Jesus." And he shook my hand. But the weird thing is, I got this really negative vibe from this guy. I didn't get it at first until I was getting out of his car, and then I got like this super negative vibe from him. And I was like, okay. Y'all gotta understand, I'm going through this crazy experience, and just hearing this voice, God's voice in my head, like directing me on what to do step by step. And I'm just like being obedient in the moment, scared shitless the whole time, okay? So I get out of his car and I'm going to cross the street, and I'm at my sister, I've had a few more miles to go up this long road to my sister's house. Literally, as soon as I got out of his car and I crossed the street to start walking up the road, another car stopped, and it's a guy and his son, and his name was Lakshmi. I forget I only remember the name Lakshmi, but he introduced me to him and his son. And he started talking about the Bible. And he started telling, literally, like as soon as I get in, God's like, "Yes, get in the car." And then I get in, and then he starts telling me about um, the story of Job. And we were talking, but I was getting a really positive, good vibe from him. It was like God was sending me two different types of energies, right? Two different cars, two different men in each one of those cars. One was a single man, and the other one was a man with his son, right? I felt more comfortable with the second man. I don't know why. But he was telling me the story of Job, and the thing that sticks out in my mind the most, because you got to think, I was a little bit out of it, y'all. I don't know how to explain what I was going through. I was present, I was in my right mind, but it was like walking in a dream almost. But anyways, so the thing that sticks out in my mind about him is he was telling me how God gave me the power, even though the serpent will nip at my heel, God gave me the power to step on serpents and scorpions and snakes. And that stuck out with me. So anyways, he finally gets me to my sister's house. We were talking so much, we passed my sister's. We were in such in-depth conversation, we literally passed where I was supposed to be. So he turned around, he takes me back to my sister's. I get to my sister's. My sister's got this really freaky energy about her, like she was scared of me or something. It was so weird. But she let me go up to her attic. I go up to her attic, and the storm follows me to my sister's house. And I remember having this whole conversation with the divine, about like angels and things that were coming. And then the next thing I know, he was like, "I want you to go to sleep, go to sleep." And I was trying to fight going to sleep because I was scared. But I don't remember going to sleep, but I passed out. And as I was laying there looking up, I could see through my eyelids. And through my eyelids, I saw all these forms standing around me in a circle. And they were ministering to my heart. When I woke up, you guys, that heaviness, that anxiety was gone. I understood what peace that surpassed all understanding was in that moment. I understood that the divine is so powerful, and the divine is the light in the dark. I understood a lot, but I'm still trying to make sense of the whole experience. I don't know why I'm being told to share this.